evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today. This is your primetime destination news. Newsmakers, talking points. The big talking point is coming from the spiraling hate that's seen communal violence in Gurugram and Nuh in Haryana, and also seen a tragic killing on a railway compartment. We'll tell you more on how to combat the hate wave. Also among our exclusive guests tonight, Asaduddin Owaisi, on why he's describing the massacre in the train as a terror attack. For all that and more, first, the 9 headlines at 9. Fresh violence now erupts in Haryana's Gurugram. Shops vandalized, set ablaze, schools and colleges to remain closed tomorrow in Gurugram. An Imam is killed near a mosque. Supreme Court pulls up Manipur police and summons DGP for next hearing, says complete breakdown of constitutional machinery in the strife-torn state. Top court calls Manipur police probe lethargic and tardy. Railway guard accused of killing 4 on board Jaipur-Mumbai train remanded to police custody until August 7th. AIMIM chief Owaisi calls the shooting a terror attack against Muslims. Home Minister Amit Shah tables the Delhi Ordnance Bill in Lok Sabha amidst massive uproar. Congress and TMC call the bill unconstitutional. BJD and YSRCP back the centre. Lok Sabha set to debate no confidence motion against the Modi government from August 8 to 10. Prime Minister will reply in Parliament on the last day. Prime Minister Modi, NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar share a stage in Pune as the Prime Minister is honoured with the Lokmanya Tilak Award. Congress hits the street in protest. Big win for Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar as Patna High Court upholds a caste survey. Caste census to now resume with immediate effect. Enforcement Directorate conducts raids at Hero Motorcorp Chairman Pawan Munjal's residence in connection with a money laundering probe case filed against Munjal under PMLA. Chandrayaan 3 leaves Earth's orbit and heads to the moon. Chandrayaan to enter moon's orbit on August 5th. But tonight I want to focus on what I'm calling the Genie of Hate. That's right, Nafrat. It's out of the bottle and it is sparking violence in different parts of the country. We've seen shocking instances in just the last 48 hours. 5 people killed in Nuh in the riots that followed stone pelting on a VHP Yatra on Monday. The communal fire that erupted in Nuh on Monday has now spread to Gurugram. Last night, an under-construction mosque in Gurugram was targeted by unknown people and the local Maulana was shot dead. His aid is critical. Today's shops in the Millennium City were targeted, sparking fears of more violence. Yesterday, we witnessed another horrific hate crime. An RPF Jawan allegedly shot dead 4 people, including his superior officer and 3 Muslim passengers inside the train that was going from Jaipur to Mumbai. And this is being linked by some to a pure hate crime. So all you have is the Genie of Hate spreading Hindu-Muslim conflicts that are leaving innocent lives, unfortunately, being targeted. What can be done to combat the hate wave is our focus tonight. So is the Genie of Hate now sparking off another bout of communal violence? That's the question we are raising. My first guest is Asaduddin Owaisi, the AIMIM MP, joins me. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Owaisi. You have come out very strongly against what has happened in the railway compartment, the cold-blooded murder of 4 people, and then what's happened in Nuh, Hindu-Muslim violence. Let's get it clear. You have called the railway compartment incident a terror attack. Have you jumped the gun? Because the FIR is very clear. It says there is no communal angle, at least no communal angle is specifically mentioned in the FIR. Should one be more cautious in the times in which we live before suggesting it is a communal crime?
The reason I've called it a terror attack is because this was a man who was in uniform and he had first assassinated or murdered his superior AS officer who belonged to the tribal Meena community. Then he went into 3 different railway compartments and identified Muslims who were having beard or wearing a cap, and then shot them dead. In fact, there is a video still available wherein this man who he shot, who's cringing in pain, who's turning from right side to left side, subsequently he died. Unfortunately, he's from Hyderabad, a place called Bazar Ghat. So this man went around 3 compartments of the railways, identified Muslims with their attire or with their beard, and shot them dead. And in a video he says that is desh mein rehna hai to Yogi, Modi or Thackeray. Now, unfortunately, the government of India wanted the Twitter to remove my tweet, and unfortunately the Twitter had succumbed to the government pressure tactics, and that tweet of mine has been removed from, it cannot be seen in India.
No, that is because again these are very sensitive. No, Mr. Owaisi, that's because these are very sensitive issues. You know, this is clearly a killing that needs investigation. No one doubts about it. It could well be a hate crime. You could be right that it could be a hate crime. The only point is, in the times in which we live, one has to be a little cautious. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Rajdeep, whatever times we live in, we have to say the truth clearly and loudly without mincing words. I will reiterate again that it was a terror attack done by a person who was radicalized and who had become extremist because of the conducive atmosphere of radicalization and extremism that has been created by the ruling party in last 9 years. And that is why we see that this man has no fear. He's standing at a dead body with his licensed weapon, as if he has, the human corpse which is lying on his feet is like some sort of a trophy for him. And everyone in that compartment just sits quiet. So it is a deliberate terror attack. To call it a hate crime would be understatement. To call him a madman would be completely wrong. He was in his senses, and that is why first he assassinated his ASI from the tribal community, and then went on to 3 different compartments and shot Muslims.
Mr. Owaisi, you know, I don't want to engage at one level in whataboutery. Every crime is dastardly. But let's be clear. You might recall last year, just over a year ago, 28 June 2022 in Udaipur, Kanhaiya Lal Teli, a Hindu tailor, was murdered by 2 Muslim assailants. Now, let's be very clear. Do you also see that as a terror attack, or will that be called a hate crime? Let's be clear. Whether what happens in Udaipur or what happened in the railway compartment, we have to unequivocally condemn it, Mr. Owaisi. Are we very clear? If someone makes Sar Tan Ke Juda slogans and threatens to kill people, unacceptable. Are we clear on that?
Well, people who had assassinated Kanhaiya Lal are terrorists. No 2 things about it. I have said this at that time also, I'm saying it now. My question is that if Kanhaiya Lal was assassinated, was murdered in a brutal way, the Rajasthan Congress government had given 50 lakhs to Kanhaiya Lal's family. But that same empathy was not shown when Junaid and Nasir were also kidnapped by these so-called Gau Rakshaks, but they are terrorists. They kidnapped them, took them to Haryana and burned them to death. And you know what the great secular party Congress did? The Chief Minister gave them only 5 lakhs. Now this is the point over here, that even in death we do discrimination.
But let's be clear, whether there's cold-blooded killing in Bhiwani, which is the incident you just mentioned, whether it is what happened in Udaipur, or whether it is what happened in this train yesterday, we are very clear these are all acts of terror that must be condemned, right? We're clear on that. These are unacceptable. You will raise your voice you will raise your voice as strongly as you would whether the victim is a Hindu or a Muslim.
Well, Rajdeep, you know, when people indulge in terrorism, I would say that terrorism has become the new religion. And all these people, they camouflage their brutalness, they camouflage their animalistic behavior by giving it a religious color. And this is what we had seen, which was done by the RPF person who was radicalized, who became extreme in his views, and the same thing happened to, unfortunately, to Kanhaiya Lal also, and to Junaid and Nasir.
But do you believe that the genie of hate is out of the bottle and controlling it is now going to be virtually impossible? And to some extent, not just the political class, we could even look at the media, all of whom seem to be aiding in this polarized atmosphere. We've seen what's happened in Haryana in Nuh. You've got a procession taking place, then you have a stone pelting, cars are set on fire, and people have died. Let's be very clear. When there are clashes, communal clashes taking place in Nuh, when you've got the incident in the train, all of which builds up to the fact that we are entering a very dangerous polarized world.
Well, Rajdeep, I am sorry to disappoint you that we have already entered into this domain of uncertainty, into domain of hate from last 9 years. It is the state which is actively promoting, which is the state which has created this conducive atmosphere of hatred for Muslims and Christians and Dalits. It is the state which helps these perpetrators. And it is the state which did not take any action against the hate speeches that emanated from the so-called Dharam Sansad. But for the Supreme Court intervention, no FIRs would have been even booked against them. Let me give an example of your home state of Maharashtra. 50 so-called love jihad public meetings were held in the presence of ministers of the Maharashtra ruling party. Everywhere it is happening, so it is not happening right now.
So when an
violence has to be condemned.
When an Akbaruddin Owaisi also is accused of hate speech, I hope that you will also take up the issue even against your own brother. Anyone who tries to play to identity politics eventually only helps in polarization, Mr. Owaisi. That is the reality. Let's get real about it.
Well, let me again correct you. Your facts are completely wrong. You should tell your team to do their homework properly. Mr. Akbaruddin Owaisi, after giving that speech, which he was subsequently exonerated by courts of law, did go to the prison, despite being in immense pain, despite fainting 4 or 5 times in the jail. Despite, his life was a very risky position in the jail. For 45 days he was in jail. Now the courts have exonerated him. So don't compare Mr. Akbaruddin Owaisi's case with what is happening in these hate speeches which are we seeing in Maharashtra in so-called Dharam Sansads. How many of them have gone to prison? How many of them have faced the music of the law? So I have to correct you. You are quoting wrong facts, and I have quoted you true facts. The problem is
you're very clear. You're very clear. Anyone who under the law commits the crime of hate speech should be prosecuted and put in jail. The point I'm making is that we've reached a stage, Mr. Owaisi, where the only way you can control this genie of hate, which is out of the bottle, is by taking tough action on anyone who takes the law into the hands, whether it is someone who resorts to violence in Nuh or whether it is in that railway compartment. We have to be very clear now. Whether you are anyone who takes a life of an innocent in the name of religion will have to be given exemplary punishment.
Well, it is the selective implementation of the law. BJP can talk about uniformity, uniform civil code, but they do not want to impose the law uniformly. That is the main problem. The biggest work which the BJP can do is to implement rule of law. Why is the BJP eulogizing, why is the BJP promoting this culture of Goli Maro? Why is BJP taking credit for someone shooting an ex-MP, a convicted ex-MP who was in handcuffs in the police custody? Who's celebrating all these incidents? Why is it that in Madhya Pradesh, a Muslim three-story house was demolished by a bulldozer, and you know what happened? A band was played in front of his house while his three-story building was being demolished. Who's promoting all this? It is the state. It is the BJP which is the ruling party. Now, if the state compromises and forgets rule of law, but wants to govern on the basis of rule by gun, then what will happen to the constitution? What will happen to the rule of law? What will happen to fairness? What will happen to propriety, reasonableness? It will all be finished.
So the larger point you're making is impunity is stemming, you believe, from a state that has become partisan. All these years we've been told of minority appeasement and the impact that has had on the majority. Today you're turning around and telling me it's about majority appeasement and a partisan state that is responsible in a way for a reaction from the minority. But let's be clear, action and reaction both have to be condemned.
Well, I am not talking about action and reaction. I am saying that the government of the day has no religion. The government of the day has to follow the rule of law, implement the rule of law. The government of the day cannot get blinded by their ideology. The government of the day must implement the constitution in toto. What we are seeing is that the government closes their eyes when if their own ideological creatures indulge in violence. That is the problem. Who has radicalized these people? How is it that they have become so much extreme in their views?
So there with due regard, there is radicalization within a section of Hindutva forces. There is radicalization within a section of Islamist forces. Let's be very clear about this today, that we have to condemn it all. Unacceptable.
Rajdeep, do you know that in the Ministry of Home Affairs, there is a counter-radicalization department? And that counter-radicalization department only deals with Muslims and Islam, no other religion. There is no other monitoring of radicalization in the majority community. There is no other monitoring of radicalization among various so-called all these radical majoritarian groups which have emerged. Only counter. I have asked this question in Parliament. I have demanded, please have a counter-radicalization monitoring unit for every religion. Can the government of the day come out and say that they are doing it? No, they are not doing it.
Let's leave it there, Mr. Owaisi. I think what you pointed out, you've sort of given your viewpoint very strongly as ever to your belief that the state has turned partisan and therefore the state is partly responsible for spreading the genie of hate, as we are calling it. Appreciate your joining us, Asaduddin Owaisi, here on the show today.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Owaisi has set the stage in a way. That's one viewpoint. We are going to get many more viewpoints, but our focus, therefore, is on what's happening in Haryana. Because what we've seen in the last 48 hours is, despite prohibitory orders and internet shutdowns, fresh violence erupting in Gurugram, the millennial city this evening. Tensions simmering in Haryana a day after communal clashes in Nuh. The trigger was a yatra carried out by the VHP Bajrang Dal through Nuh, a minority-dominated district. How did the situation spiral out so dangerously out of control? Where was the police? Here is an India Today investigation that brings you the villains of Haryana.
A battleground of flames. Just a short drive from the national capital. Pitched battles between two communities rocked Nuh in Haryana's Mewat region on Monday, reaching even the tech hub of Gurugram. An India Today investigation has delved into the causes behind this destructive frenzy. Our probe reveals how 4 warnings about possible communal flare-ups were ignored. This is Vishwajit, the district inspector of the CID. Vishwajit is responsible for intelligence gathering across Nuh. When our investigative team met him in his office, Vishwajit claimed to have formally warned the local authorities about potential trouble during the VHP Yatra.
कल वाले जो रैली को लेकर कोई स्पेसिफिक इनपुट था आप लोगों की तरफ से?
स्पेसिफिक इनपुट था, वही ये लोग यात्रा निकालेंगे तो इनका कम्युनल होगा कहीं कहीं।
अच्छा, ये था।
अगर ये निकलेंगे गांव के बीच से, तलवार लहराएंगे, फरसा लहराएंगे।
तो क्या ये पहले से इनपुट आप लोगों ने नहीं दिया?
इनपुट थी, सरकार को सब दे चुकी।
कितने दिन?
आपको पता है टाइम हफ्ता 10 दिन पहले ही
तो हफ्ता 10 दिन पहले दे दिया।
You heard that Nuh's CID gave its assessment of potential trouble during the VHP Yatra planned at Nuh on Monday. The district's CID inspector claimed the intel inputs he shared were not acted upon by law enforcement. A notorious cow vigilante linked to the Bajrang Dal, Monu Manesar, had earlier issued video messages about him participating in the yatra. Police did not let him attend the event on Monday. In March, India Today exposed widespread extortion rackets of Gaurakshaks in Haryana. According to Nuh's CID chief, the activities of Gaurakshak squads had already infuriated residents of Nuh.
ब्रीफ करने में, उनको हैंडल करने में जो शुरुआती 2060-70 जो भी हुए, वो कहीं कहीं अधिकारियों ने सोचा भाई चलो ये मान जाएंगे, खदेड़ देंगे, उसमें ये नॉर्मल ये ले लिया उनको। हाँ, मनमाने से नहीं आया, समझा देंगे यार, वो आ भी नहीं रहा था। लेकिन वो मानने वाले कहाँ थे? वो मोटरसाइकिल और फोन कर दिए, भाई किसी ने अफवाह फैला दी, तो आ लिया मंदिर पर। और यात्रा चलने वाली है, तो हम यात्रा को रोकेंगे। उनका मकसद उस रास्ते को रोक करना था।
अच्छा,
जो मोड़ है जिससे जानी थी।
कितने टाइम लगा था बिल्डअप होने में चीज़ों को? मतलब कर
बिल्कुल लगा था 1 घंटे का। तो मोटरसाइकिल और फोन कर दिए,
कौन?
ये जो यहाँ के लोकल है ना वो।
अच्छा।
और वो बच्चे लगभग 17 साल से 21-22 साल की एज ग्रुप थे।
अच्छा।
उनमें बड़ा मैच्योर था नहीं।
Kishan Kumar, the SHO of the police station under whose jurisdiction the unrest unfolded. When probed, he claimed he received no intel from his superiors about any potential trouble from the yatra.
मतलब 100 भी पूरे नहीं थे। और इतना बड़ा प्रोसेशन निकल रहा है, इतना बड़ा इंतजाम होना चाहिए था। CID वालों ने कोई पेपर, चिट्ठी, पत्री तो भेजी होगी आप लोग?
मेरे पास
कोई आपके पास पत्र, चिट्ठी नहीं है? कोई ये भी तो आया होगा कि भाई इतने लोग इकट्ठे हो सकते हैं, आप लोगों का ये आपका इंतजाम, कोई इंतजाम के बारे में?
मेरे लेवल पर कोई बात,
आपके लेवल पर इंतजाम का भी नहीं बताया?
अगर ये होता भी इतना पता लग जाता है ये ऐसा हो जाएगा तो यात्रा नहीं रुक जाती। यात्रा पूरी इमरजेंसी क्या कोई होती तो ऊपर लेवल पे अपने तो बोले में अपने सेफ थोड़ा ध्यान रखना।
You heard Nuh Sadar's SHO admitting that police at his level received no warnings beforehand. Scars of yet another devastating turmoil. A grim reminder of how intel oversight, inadequate law enforcement, social media manipulation can converge into a storm of violence. A report by Mohammad Hizbullah and Nitin Jain for India Today's Special Investigation Team.
So how do we combat this hate wave? Who let the hate genie out? Is society polarized like never before? The hate triggering politics of violence, with our special focus now on what's happened in Haryana. Joining me in the studio are Vinod Bansal, VHP's spokesperson. Professor Sangeet Kumar Ragi is Department of Political Science and author, RSS and Gandhi. I'm joined by Yogendra Yadav, co-founder Swaraj India, and someone who comes from that part of the country in Haryana. And Shashikant, former DGP Punjab, joins us. Let's get it clear first, and I want to get a clear answer from you, Mr. Bansal. आग किसने शुरू की? ये जो सवाल उठ रहा है, आप लोग यात्रा उठाते हैं, उस यात्रा में मोनू मानेसर, जिसको अक्यूज्ड किया गया है एक क्राइम में इन भिवानी इन हरियाणा, ही इज पुटिंग आउट वीडियोस कि आई एम गोइंग टू जॉइन द रैली, मैं उस रैली में पार्टिसिपेट होऊंगा, जो एक तरह से लोग कह रहे हैं भड़काओ, लोगों को भड़काने की ये साजिश थी, दूसरी तरफ से पत्थरबाजी हुई, एंड यू हैव सीन व्हाट हैज हैपेंड. किसको जिम्मेदार ठहराएंगे? व्हाई डिड यू हैव टू हैव समवन लाइक अ मोनू मानेसर हु इज एन अक्यूज्ड बीइंग पार्ट ऑफ योर यात्रा? क्यों उसके वीडियोस चलते हैं इस तरह से?
राजदीप, सबसे पहले तो मुझे बड़ा दुख हो रहा है कि आज इंडिया टुडे के स्टूडियो में बैठ करके
जी
मुझे आपकी बात को काटना पड़ रहा है
जी
कि आप जिस तरह से झूठ परोसना चाह रहे हैं मोनू मानेसर के वीडियो के नाम पर, दैट इज वेरी शेमफुल. मैं बताऊं आपको, ये जिस वीडियो का आपने अभी चैनल पर दिखाया वो इस यात्रा का है ही नहीं. ये पहले जो यात्रा निकली थी तब का था कि मैं आ रहा हूं. दिस इज टोटली फेक.
बिफोर द यात्रा उसने वीडियोस निकाले थे, वो कह रहा था कि मैं यात्रा में आ रहा हूं.
मेरी बात को कृपया पूरा होने दीजिए.
गो अहेड.
आई डू ऑल्सो हैव द राइट टू.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. यू आर.
मैं कह रहा हूं कि देखिए, मोनू मानेसर की जो वीडियो है, हाँ, इस वीडियो ने इंस्टिगेट जरूर किया. वो क्यों? क्योंकि 4 दिन पहले षड्यंत्र पूर्वक कुछ हिंदू द्रोही तत्वों ने, जिहादी तत्वों ने इस वीडियो को जो पुराना था उसको भी सर्कुलेट किया. हो सकता है कि आपके जैसे कुछ पत्रकार भी उसमें सहयोगी रहे हो, मैं नहीं कह सकता, आई एम नॉट ब्लेमिंग यू, बट जिस तरह से आपने अभी दिखाया है ना, इट इज वेरी शेमफुल. एक बात, मोनू मानेसर वाज नॉट सपोज टू जॉइन दिस यात्रा, नंबर 1. नंबर 2, नोबडी हैज स्टॉप हिम टू कम एट हियर. थर्ड वन इज दैट अगर वो आता है तो क्या बच्चों पर, महिलाओं पर आप आक्रमण कर दोगे? क्या इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर मोनू मानेसर किसी तीर्थ यात्रा में जा रहा है तो उसको जला दोगे पूरे कुनबे को? हजारों की संख्या में लोग पिलग्रिमेज के जा रहे हैं. आप देखिए कि मेवात कोई, आप जो कह रहे हैं ना कि माइनॉरिटी डोमिनेटेड एरिया है, नो, मैं कहूंगा माइनॉरिटी डोमिनेटेड एरिया नहीं है, दे आर द मेजोरिटी ऑफ दैट एरिया. दूसरी बात ये कि वो जो भूमि है कोई जिहादियों की भूमि नहीं है, वो भगवान कृष्ण की पवित्र भूमि है, कर्म भूमि है उनकी. और उस पवित्र भूमि को अगर आप जिहादी लैंड बनाना चाहते हैं तो दिस इज नोवेयर एक्सेप्टेबल टू द हिंदू कम्युनिटी और द कंट्री ऑफ द.
You tell me now, Vinod Bansal, last night an under construction mosque in Gurugram was attacked and the Imam was murdered. His assistant is grievous. Who did it? Who is coming? Are you saying all of this? Dekhiye, nobody is saying that violence has not taken place involving both communities. I'm very clear about that. But you cannot escape responsibility. Who are these people who are out on the street today burning property?
Are you saying that we have burnt the mosque?
I am asking you who's responsible.
Why are you asking me?
I am asking you.
Who am I to
Who has
respond?
killed an imam?
Why should I respond? Why should I respond?
You have nothing to do with it.
Let the investigation done. But why are you escaping that route कि भी जो हिंदुओं पर हमले हुए उसको तो आप कह रहे हैं कि मोनू मानेसर जिम्मेदार है, और जो मस्जिद में कुछ हुआ तो आप मुझे जिम्मेदार समझ रहे हैं.
I am saying whoever is involved in hinsa has to be condemned, whether it is Hindu or Muslim. You accept that?
अरे क्यों नहीं भाई, इसमें कहने वाली क्या बात है?
तो इमाम को किसने मारा?
लेकिन पहले मुझे बताइए, आपके चैनल पर मोनू मानेसर का वीडियो क्यों चला? आपके चैनल पर आपने झूठ क्यों परोसा? आपने स्टार्टिंग यहां से क्यों चलाई? मैं कहता हूं दिस इज वेरी सिंपल.
You are saying that Monu Manesar may have incited people. I want to bring in Yogendra.
Nowhere.
He has not incited people.
Not at all. He was not the part of the yatra. He has not participated in the yatra. Neither he has circulated any video, nor he has made any video. और आपका चैनल दिखा रहा है, बताओ कमाल की बात है. No one channel in the country has shown this video, which you are depicting.
No, 1 minute. The video is in the public domain.
सर वीडियो को वेरीफाई करिए कि कब का है सर. कम से कम राजदीप सरदेसाई.
अच्छा, यू आर सेइंग दिस इज एन अर्लियर वीडियो, ये आज का वीडियो नहीं है? मे बी मैं
कह रहा हूं, लेकिन आज का नहीं है. ये गारंटी है कि आज का नहीं है.
Okay. Yogendra Yadav, the point Vinod Bansal is making is that a yatra was to be carried out. The VHP Bajrang Dal gave adequate notice of this yatra. When the yatra was wending its way through Nuh, cars were set ablaze, stone pelting took place, people in the yatra were targeted, and the minority community, which is the majority as is being pointed out, Mr. Bansal, in some parts of Haryana, was responsible for it. Do you accept that that needs a further inquiry, that it cannot be seen as one-sided violence?
It is absolutely one-sided violence, sir.
I have spent the day today in Nuh and Barkali, the other place where some violence took place. I have spoken to the people whose shops were burnt. I have spoken to many people in that area. I also went and met the SP and the DC of Mewat. So I speak with some knowledge on this issue. First thing first, there's absolutely no doubt that stone pelting did take place, that home guards, 2 home guards were killed, and that nothing can absolve it. People responsible for that must be identified, must be punished. I also happen to agree with Bansalji on another thing, that Muslims are the majority community in Mewat. And therefore, if one thinks of a moral responsibility, which is an important thing apart from legal responsibility and the state's responsibility, the moral responsibility in Mewat is that of the majority Muslim community to assure Hindus that they are welcome, that they would be safe. And that's actually something that I said today when I went there. I met many delegations and everyone agreed with me that yes, it is our moral responsibility and that Muslims will guard the temples and will give a sense of assurance to Hindus. Now coming specifically to the question of the videos. Rajdeep, number one, Mr. Bansal says these videos were old. The important thing, Mr. Bansal, is that on 25th, 26th, 27th of July, this particular video was being circulated. The important thing, Mr. Bansal, is that on 27th, there was a peace committee meeting in Nuh presided by the ASP responsible. And in that meeting, this video was shown. And she said, yes, it is very serious. Yes, we will take action. By then, not only this video, a counter video has also come from the side of some Muslim groups saying we will stop him from, we will respond to him. If all this was so fake, why did Haryana government not come out with a simple thing saying this is a fake video? Number two, would you deny, Mr. Bansal, that on the morning of 1st of August, that is to say yesterday morning, 31st, yesterday morning, before all the violence took place, 2 hours before that, Mr. Bittu Bajrangi gives a video which is even more inflammatory, which cannot possibly be old because he's saying we have started the yatra, ab hum yahan aayenge, hum chup ke nahi aate hain, hum tumhe bata ke aate hain. And he says things about women, which I cannot reproduce here on your channel. This is so inflammatory video. Who made that? Who should take the responsibility? More importantly, Rajdeep, not only were these videos available, not only was it pointed out in the peace committee, and now your investigation says that CID had also reported it, the same yatra 1 year ago had seen a similar incident of communal violence in which a mazar was broken. Fortunately, both the communities settled it. So the government had every reason to know that this is a sensitive yatra. Now, why was such a yatra allowed to take place? Number
this
one.
Is the problem.
Why were so many
this is
people
his problem
allowed
actually.
Number three, why were they allowed to bring in arms? Please listen to me.
Yes,
I heard you.
please go ahead.
Why allowed to bring in arms, which India today has shown in its video, swords, lathis. And then when violence took place, why is it that the administration and police disappeared for 3 to 5 hours? Rajdeep, I must put it on your channel. A magistrate, Mrs. Jain, who works in Nuh, she was caught in this violence. The sessions judge requested the police to please rescue a magistrate who's caught in violence. The police failed to rescue a magistrate and my colleagues went and rescued her. In Barkali, where 3 houses were already burnt and more could be burnt. Who rescued it? Finally, not the police, not administration. Finally, the local sarpanch happens to be a Muslim. He gathered Muslims and Hindus from the village Nakina. He took them to Barkali Chowk, 500 people. They stopped violence. So it is not a case of communities fighting against each other. This is one politicized, provocative group versus gundas from the other side.
Therefore, before you say these are facts that Yogendra Yadav is putting, you may have a different story, but what is very clear. नहीं, you must-
Are you certifying? Are you certifying this fact?
मैं किसी
नहीं,
को-
आप मुझे बताइए, आप
Sir,
इन्होंने बोला these are the facts.
Sir,
आपने कहा these are the
He's
facts.
giving an instance of what he has heard.
नहीं, are you
He's giving-
certifying this?
I
But
am
what
not
are you saying?
certifying anything.
Correct.
I am saying Yogendra Yadav is giving us what he has heard on the ground. You are giving us your story. What is very clear
ठीक है. Now
in
it is
both
clear.
the stories, and I will play those pictures, is the fact sticks and guns were used in a Shobha Yatra. Now, I don't know what sticks and guns, 1 minute, sticks and guns are doing and where the police is. You know, Shashikant ji, what is very clear, and our sting has shown that this was known. Till a week ago, there were warnings issued. The local police is admitting that they had sent warnings to their top leadership that this could happen. And yet when it happens, the police are not there on the ground, they are outnumbered. This suggests either complicity or incompetence. Ya to incompetence hai, either the police there is incompetent or it is complicit. One of the two. How can you have a situation where people on both sides seem so heavily armed and are able to carry out this kind of violence?
Not both sides.
No, 1 minute. These
You are making the fake story.
Sir, 1 minute. I'll
You
let
are
you.
playing the fake story,
Sir,
sir.
मैं आपके पास आऊंगा. Let Shashikant ji respond.
मुझे लगता है
Shashikant
मुझे
ji,
भी उतना टाइम देंगे
Well,
sir, मैं आऊंगा
well,
आपके पास.
Rajdeep, gentlemen, look, I'm not a politician. I'll not go into that side. I'll say one thing, that in the police we have SOPs, standard operative procedures. And the situation in this particular area has been brewing up since February, when these two persons, Nasir and Junaid, were killed, by God knows by whom. I will not go into it, number one. And secondly, our Honorable Prime Minister has said a number of times that this kind of thing, cow vigilantism or whatever it is not permitted. First question is, why the local authorities failed to take adequate action in this regard, which has been desired even by the Prime Minister? Were they trying to think that the Prime Minister was wrong on this particular thing? And then, coming to this particular issue, for almost 2 weeks, the social media war was going on like crazy. No attempt was made to stop them. And the standard SOP about this procession is that they have to ensure that the route is absolutely clear, and if there is any possibility of any disturbance at any point of time, there has to be slight detour, which was not taken. And now your videos out here is saying that the people, I don't know from which side, they were all heavily armed. I'll say that I don't know whether it's a complicence or whatever it was, but it's a very serious matter.
No, who do we blame? No, who do we blame? The top police leadership of Haryana or the people on the ground? Somebody has to take responsibility. Let's be clear, Shashikant ji. If the police wants, no riot will take place. If the police really wanted to stop it, they would stop it. It seems people have impunity. And Imam has been killed last night. Who is to be held responsible?
Yeah, look, sir, I have worked in IB for ages. I know the SOP. Written information is shared with the local authorities at the highest level, not at the level of the SHO or anything. It means that somebody higher up, he just tried to ignore these warnings and didn't take adequate action. No adequate police force was there. It was not ensured that the guys, either from this party or that party, that they were not armed. They didn't take cognizance of the fact that somebody was collecting stones, which were collected from the local quarries and all those things. I say it was a failure, a shameful failure all around. Thank you.
Okay, shameful failure all around. Presumably, therefore, before I come to you, Ragi ji, Bansal ji, let's be very clear. मैं ये वीडियो आपको दिखा रहा हूं, उसमें लोग, people are with guns, people are with sticks. Is this the way a yatra goes? I am being very clear. Stones have been pelted. Mr. Yogendra Yadav is also accepting that the majority Muslim community in Mewat has a specific responsibility. But are you telling me that the people who I am showing you on the video now are all people who are not lumpen elements? What are they? Are they really yatris or are they out to provoke people with swords and sticks? ये मुझे बताइए.
अच्छा, आप ये कहना चाहते हैं कि जो यात्री, तीर्थ यात्री वहां पर पांडवकालीन मंदिरों के दर्शन करने गए थे, साथ में अगर तलवार लेके गए, तो आप उसका मतलब हजारों
ये कौन है ये लोग?
मेरी बात सुनिए ना.
नहीं, ये कौन है? ये मुझे बताइए, ये कौन है?
देखिए राजदीप,
नहीं, लोग गन्स के साथ, स्टिक्स के साथ, आई वांट टू नो हू दे आर.
योगेंद्र को इंटरव्यू नहीं किया था और मेरे को सुनने की आपके हिम्मत नहीं है. वेरी क्लियरली सेइंग, देखिए आपने जो पूछना मेरे से पूछ रहे,
आप मुझे जवाब दीजिए.
टू द पॉइंट आंसर दूंगा मैं स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड बोलने के लिए जाना चाहता हूं. विश्व हिंदू परिषद का प्रवक्ता हूं, कोई विनोद बंसल नहीं अकेला. ये मैं कहना चाहता हूं सीधा सीधा, क्या स्वॉर्ड रखना अपराध है वहां पर? पांडवकालीन मंदिरों के दर्शन करने मान लो कोई तीर्थयात्री जाता है, तो इसका मतलब क्या आप हजारों की संख्या में हमला कर दोगे? क्या हमला पूर्व नियोजित नहीं था? क्या पहाड़ियों के ऊपर चढ़ करके पेट्रोल बम चलाओगे? हमारे ऊपर गन ला दोगे? लड़कियों को, महिलाओं को मारोगे? और मैं कहता हूं ये योगेंद्र यादव जी और ये दूसरे पैनलिस्ट साहब के बैठे हैं, मुझे बड़ा ताज्जुब होता है, इतने इंटेलेक्चुअल होने के बावजूद भी इनके मुंह में से एक शब्द नहीं निकला उस घटना को कंडेम करने के लिए कि इस्लामिक जिहादियों ने उनके ऊपर हमला किया। अरे हमले के बारे में बोला भाई, आपने स्वord तो देख ली, आपने कोई राइफल तो देख ली जो लाइसेंस राइफल थी, वो बिना लाइसेंस के चला रहे थे, लगातार हमला कर रहे थे, न तो आपके मुंह में से एक जवान निकली सर, आई एम वेरी सॉरी टू से, और न ही आपके दोनों पैनलिस्ट में बोला। लेकिन हिंदू मरा, और वहां पर जहां पर भगवान श्री कृष्ण की जन्मभूमि है, और आप कह रहे हैं कि हमारा स्वord ले जाने की वजह से मरा, हमारा एक वीडियो जारी करने से मरा। कमाल की बात कर रहे हो यार।
बंसल जी, हम स्टूडियो में हैं, क्या हुआ है? होमगार्ड्स मरे हैं, हिंदू यात्री मरे हैं, और एक इमाम भी मरा है, और उसका असिस्टेंट घायल है। ये हिंदू मुस्लिम छोड़िए, ये सब इंसान है, ये सब भारतीय है।
आपको बोथ
कम्युनिटीज हैव सफर्ड।
नहीं, आपको कम
बोथ कम्युनिटीज हैव सफर्ड, बट
सफर नहीं की सर।
योगेंद्र यादव
हिंदुओं पर हुआ,
ओके,
हमला जिहादियों ने किया।
अच्छा ठीक है,
और देखिए यात्रा पर किया, श्रावण के महीने में किया, और उसके बावजूद भी आप इग्नोर कर रहे हैं।
योगेंद्र यादव, you want to respond and condemn it before I go to Mr. Raji, because according to Mr. Bansal, he seems to suggest that you are only giving us one side of the story. Just quickly, if you want to correct, give a clarification.
Rajdeep, maybe Mr. Bansal should go home and watch the video of this very show again, because I began by saying, no matter what, those who have pelted stone, this is condemnable and they must be arrested, they must be punished. Why do I need to repeat it? I'm not, I mean, unlike Mr. Owaisi, I'm not sitting here as a representative of the Muslim community or this or that community. I'm sitting here as an Indian who's very concerned that my Indians, that 2 home guards who were on duty have been killed. Possibly one person from the yatra has been killed, that an imam has been killed, and that the fire is spreading in other places. I'm concerned about all of them. And I have met all kinds of victims. So why should I play any particular side? I'm just saying, as an Indian, we should be shocked and we should be very worried about the role of the state as well.
Can I just bring in Mr. Naivan? Now, Mr. Nagi, let's be very clear. You see, what is happening tragically is even in TV debates like that, and that's the danger, they get so polarized and bitter. Fact is, innocent people have lost their lives. People who have got caught in the crossfire. Why should an imam be killed, even if it, let us assume that yesterday the violence, as is being suggested, was started by Muslims in Nuh. That there was stone pelting. There's a reaction from the other side then. We have people with sticks and guns, and now an imam is killed last night. When are we going to end this cycle of violence? Each one will blame the other. Sticks and guns are not what a civilized society is about. And where is the police is a question that will be asked. And Haryana is going to the polls next year. Ye bhi sawal uthega.
Rajdeep, I agree with all the panelists who are ready to condemn violence from any quarter. There is no place for violence in any civilized society, and nobody should approve of any kind of killing. Having said so, you know, the perception, unfortunately we are living in times of polarization. Let us have this reality. Secondly, when you are talking about how we should end it, then you are working on a prescriptive and normative framework. The matter of fact is that there is a polarization.
Who has created it?
Just a moment. Yes, let me give you answer. There has been a perception, and this perception has percolated down to the the masses in this country, that the spurious notion and the bogus practice of secularism of this country has been nothing but the continuity of Muslim appeasement. Everybody knows that what Mewat stands for. If you go and talk to the commoners, Mewat is known as a mini Pakistan. Let me again say, why does it happen that all Muslim dominated areas in this country have become sensitive areas? Let me ask this question to your viewers, that why only those police stations are sensitive which are located in the Muslim dominated areas? Why does it happen that such kind of pelting of a stone happens only in a Muslim majority area? Why does it happen that this kind of things happens not only here in India, but you go to all over the world? The sensitive, communally and religiously sensitive areas are those areas where the Muslims are either in majority or in a dominant position. Let me come back to this position. Let me again, don't expect, why this is happening. Yes, I'm telling you, because Hindus have been feeling somewhere down the line frustrated that this spurious and the bogus secularism, which is served before the public in a sweet voice, wrapped up in jargons of that, we condemn both kinds of, and
why
that is
not?
How
does that justify? No, 1 minute. First of all,
I'm not
all Hindus may not feel the way you do. All Hindus do not carry guns and sticks in a yatra.
I'm not.
No, all Hindus also don't. So while there are Islamic radicals, there are Hindutva radicals, and they are both feeding on each other. That is the reality. That is the reality.
There is no Hindu
radicalism. There is no Hindu for life.
Bansalji, let me answer.
Let me answer.
आप उनको पैरिटी में लाने के लिए हमें रेडिकल बता रहे हो, कमाल की बात कर रहे हो आप।
Ragi ji, complete.
Rajdeep, it is not correct to say that all Muslims are radicals. And in the same fashion, it would also be incorrect to say that all Hindus feel the same way.
Yes.
You also belong to, you are also a Hindu. There are multiple. You will find a difference. Why does there is not a dominant voice coming from the Muslim community against this radicalism? There is a dominant voice, and that I include even Yogendra Yadav, that when there is a Hindu fanaticism, all of us coming from, the reaction is from the Hindu community, and it is far more dominant than even sometimes coming from the Muslim community. But why this kind of, justification? I heard of
Owaisi on my show called Kanhaiya Lal's killing also terror attack.
No. Same Asauddin Owaisi was with the people who were, singing slogans. They are in Hyderabad, Sartan se juda ho jaye, is naare ke saath khade the. Same Asauddin Owaisi. Tell me one single public address by Asauddin Owaisi when he doesn't talk about Muslims, and Muslims.
Okay. So the Bajrang Dal and Owaisi may be feeding on each other. They do not necessarily represent all Hindus and all Muslims in this country.
What I'm saying that
you cannot equate.
What I'm saying that the perception has percolated down to the minds of the Hindus. Okay. I'm not saying all Hindus.
Okay.
But the predominant majority, that there has been a bogus secularism, and the fanatic secularism has done more harm to this country.
Yogendra Yadav, you want to respond to that what we are seeing in Mewat, in a major area which is dominated by the minority community, according to Mr. Ragi, is typical of a mindset, and that has had a reaction within the Hindu community. The yatra gets pelted by stones. There will be a reaction, and it's tragic. But that's the nature of polarization caused by what he calls.
You have given too much opportunity to Yogendra. When Kar Seva was taking place, when Godhra happens, it was Hindus who were accused that they went to the Kar Seva and it was provocative. Every time such incidents take place, and first the motive and the intent of Hindus are questioned. Why does it happen all the time?
Okay. Let Yogendra now respond to you. Let him respond.
अगर किसी के पास राइफल थी वो भी लाइसेंस की थी, आत्मरक्षा के लिए थी. आपको बताऊं राजदीप जी, आपने फोटो तो ले ली लेकिन उनसे पूछा नहीं. सारी एक भी कोई इलीगल नहीं थी और उनके पास कोई लीगल नहीं थी.
I don't believe yatras are meant for swords and guns, but Yogendra Yadav respond.
Not meant for, but yatra.
These are not pictures of yatris. But go ahead, Yogendra ji, respond to what you've heard so far.
I agree with Professor Ragi that it shows a mindset. It shows a mindset that even professors of universities get, use such.
Please, Yogendra Yadav, don't don't allow him to make a personal comment. I can also say so many things, Mr. Yogendra Yadav.
Ragi ji, we have Ragi ji, without being personal.
No.
Okay, without being personal,
stop him to make personal comments. I have seen him during the Kisan movement. We have seen how he was batting for the Congress party and how he was working with the lumpen elements and claiming in the public domain that he is secular, he is non-partisan. It is absurd, Mr. Yogendra Yadav.
Okay, you
must expose Mr. Yogendra
Mr.
Yadav.
Ragi, let's
Don't
not
make personal comments.
Mr. Ragi, let's not make personal comments on both sides.
When I need,
Let Yogendra Yadav.
You know your face, Mr. Yogendra Yadav.
No, these are not.
You know it very well.
No, Mr. Ragi.
You know it very well.
Mr. Ragi, let Yogendra ji complete. Yes.
Professor Ragi is a
सौ
friend.
चूहे खाए भले आज को चलिए इसको मत चर्चा करिए भैया
Okay, एक मिनट खत्म करने दीजिए. Yes.
But meanwhile, I just want to say, it does show a mindset that people on national television can come and defend swords being carried in any procession.
Nobody has defended Mr. Nobody has
And I
defended.
thought-
I'm sorry to
No,
say.
one minute.
I haven't defended.
No, you may not
I
have,
haven't defended.
but Bansal ji has in self-defense, he says it
No,
was done.
I haven't
No, let him
defended.
complete. The viewer is not hearing. Let him complete. Then I'll complete.
Because we are looking at two expressions of the same mindset, one by Bansalji, one by Ragiji, and to my mind, that mindset is really the disease of this country, that we have come everything in the same frame, and I do feel that Aslam also suffers from the same mindset. And it is the same mindset, whether it is Owaisi or Mr. Bansal. Unfortunately, they are two sides of the same coin, and this country needs to be saved from both of them.
hate speech.
Okay, so in a way, what we are seeing,
can I
we are
respond to
seeing,
Mr. Yogendra
like
Yadav?
it or not, we are seeing competitive
we also
extremism.
find that Mr. Yogendra Yadav all the time, in a rap, sweet voice, always sides with the radical Islamist. I never have come out. No. Always.
By what
He's the
word?
man.
No, by what
He's
word?
the man.
By
You
what
always-
word to one
No,
minute,
he
one
was
minute.
not as critical to those people who have
Sir, he will
stones.
No, my point is, are we all accepting that radicalization within any community is dangerous? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 So therefore, the Bajrang
but
Dal
the point
and
is, the point
the
is,
Bajrang
are
Dal
you saying,
and
are
a
you
Muslim
saying that
extremist
the
group are
Hindus should
dangerous?
not take out procession through the Muslim-dominated area?
The Bajrang Dal, which was responsible for violence during Gujarat, leading the cheerleaders, the Bajrang Dal, which has been involved in cow lynching today.
बजरंग दल को पढ़िए, बजरंग दल को समझिए.
What is Bajrang Dal? What is Bajrang Dal?
राजदीप स्टूडियो में बैठकर बजरंग दल को नहीं समझा जा सकता.
It's not a radical Hindu organization.
Not at all. What is radical? आप इस्लाम से तुलना कर रहे हो, जिहादियों से तुलना कर रहे हो.
Bajrang Dal people have been involved in the last 20 years in killings.
Rajdeep, please. Does Bajrang Dal talk about that the entire world has to be Hinduized? And with the use of the force? Does it talk about
Bajrang Dal has been involved in instances of violence, radical Islamists have.
Not at all. He doesn't. Yogendra has never.
Absolutely not. Okay, I'm going to say this as a final word. I believe all right-thinking citizens must distance themselves from all forms of radicalization and extremism. The polarization which was spoken about is being built because one form of extremism is feeding on the other. Who dies in the process? Innocent Indians. And questions must be asked of the police and the state. Because if the state wants, and I was told this by my late grandfather who was a police officer, no violence and no major riot takes place without the incompetence or complicity of the police administration or both. So the Haryana government will have to answer to those questions. Incompetence, complicity or both.
So killing of Hindus in Bengal have taken place in complicit with the political establishment.
The failure of the state.
No. Why don't you say that Mamata Banerjee is complicit to that? Are you going to make this a statement?
Either incompetence.
Are you going to make this a
I have
statement?
said it. Whether any part of the country, incompetence, complicity of the state is responsible for instances of violence involving killings of this kind.
But
no riot takes place. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, but I'm going to leave you with an image that perhaps also tells you ye kaisa politics is desh mein hai. Political rivals, Prime Minister Modi and NCP Chief Sharad Pawar sharing a stage in Pune. Now, the NCP protested against it even though Mr. Pawar was the chief guest. The Congress protested against it even though congressmen were the trustees who had organized it. That image is the image of the day. Pawar and Modi. Few weeks ago, Mr. Modi was being accused of breaking the NCP. Today, there, Sushil Kumar Shinde, former Congress Chief Minister, Sharad Pawar sharing a platform. This too is India. Ye hai Rajniti. Thanks for watching as Mr. Modi was conferred with the 2023 Lokmanya Tilak Award. Good night. Goodbye. Jai Hind. Namaskar.